Cool, so this Christmas watch along, the second one that I'm doing, I'm sure this works out as the second one that you guys will see. I'm joined by SCWSteve, and thanks for coming on. It's fun, obviously. Pretty much people are used to me and your face being together at the minute, or it's either you're on my channel or I'm in yours, so this is pretty fun. But thanks and welcome to Christmas watch along. Do you have your Christmas jumper on?
I do indeed, yeah. Thanks for having me as always. So we're like a tag team these days, pretty much, aren't we? Do you know what I mean? Like it's, you know, if there was like a Survivor Series team or something like that, we'd be set, wouldn't we? But I've got my Christmas jumper on. It's not a wrestling one, sadly, but for any football fans out there, soccer, if you're American, I'm supporting the mighty West Ham United, so I've got my Christmas jumper on with the Mighty Hammers. So yeah, just for those as well, we are massive. But yeah, no, thanks for having me on. It's great to be back.
Got the Bret Hart Christmas jumper on, man. Try to wrestle it up a wee bit. Like I says, I've not done anything because I'm injured. But I tell the people the match that you have picked. What match you picked it and why have you picked it?
Right, okay, so there's a few reasons why I've picked this match. I've gone back to the Royal Rumble 2000, with the Royal Rumble going to come up, the season starting very soon. I've gone for the tables match with the Hardy Boyz against the Dudley Boyz. Now, obviously, I think it's an underrated match when you look at today. Everyone turns around and says, right, TLC, you know, everyone goes back to the WrestleMania match, TLC 2. Some even overlook the TLC 1 match from SummerSlam 2000. This is kind of like one of those building blocks that gets us to those original TLC matches. Obviously, we had the ladder match with the Hardy Boyz, Edge and Christian at No Mercy 99. This is obviously the first tables match on pay-per-view at the Royal Rumble 2000, which is in Madison Square Garden, which is another reason why I've picked it. You know, I've just come back from my honeymoon. This is the first video back, so thanks for having me on your channel for that as well. Being in New York was just an incredible experience. It was a dream come true to go places like MSG, to go to the Barclays as well, was there for Survivor Series. But you know, Jeff Hardy, was one of the people I actually geeked out for most watching Survivor Series. And you know, I just went back to being that sort of, you know, teenager that was back in school, and that kind of just influenced of picking this match from that feeling, because seeing Jeff Hardy perform that and getting to the final two in that Survivor Series match, I sort of thought, well, what's some of my favourite underrated Jeff Hardy matches, and this is one of them. So and obviously a big death-defying spot, which we'll talk about I'm sure later in this video. So yeah, that was my reasons for picking it. I think it's an underrated banger.
Man, definitely. At this point I was only 8, so I remember being like a child and getting the magazines and going through when he used to put the clips of the matches in the magazines to get the pay-per-view, because I'm 8-year-old, my mum wasn't allowing me to stay up to watch this kind of stuff. So I was just looking through that, and I didn't watch this actual match till I was like 15, so like a lot later when it came out in DVD, the tagged kind of classic thing that came out. So I watched it then, but I just remember it blowing me away. This time in wrestling was just so weird. Like, it was just great matches, fun storylines. Obviously they had some of the terrible moments, as every period of wrestling does, but this one is just, this pay-per-view itself is insane. It's Triple H, Cactus Jack, Acolytes versus the New Age Outlaws, is it China, Chris Jericho and Hardcore Holly as well. They have a fantastic match on this as well. And then the Rumble with the famous Big Show Rock ending, which was kind of awkward.
So they were released, yeah.
But this is 2000 is probably one of the peak years for wrestling, for fandom. Back when we were younger as well, this was like the peak of the Attitude Era in the UK. Everybody had knew what wrestling was. Everybody was watching it. And I remember in school just doing like the DX chop stuff and that. And at this point, it was like peak. Like, people were getting into trouble. Like I said, I was only 8, so I have good memories of watching wrestling at this time. But I'm excited that you picked this one. Hardy's, Dudley Boyz, always is a classic. Obviously, maybe no, they're old. Like, if you look at them just now, I want to see Hardy's versus Dudley's. Just letting that know for WWE in case you try and bring them back. I don't want to see this match. Don't put it back on. But if you want to get started, we can hit play. We're at 12:01 on the WWE Network, and just go check it out and listen to us bullshit about the olden days.
Absolutely. Should we press play?
I'm just hit play.
Do it.
Cool. The entrances were always amazing, like the New York taxi hanging down and stuff like that was always got me, because I think it was around about this time the Godzilla film came out. I know it's a terrible movie, but when I was younger, I loved dinosaurs and I loved that movie. And it had tons of, obviously New York's got tons of yellow cabs in it, and this was in the movie, and I was like, oh, it's like Godzilla's here. And I was 8.
But like you say, it's the special entrances as well. Like you didn't have like just the same old Tron everywhere. Like there was a special theme for each time. And like you say there, with the taxi that's holding up there, it just fits New York, fits MSG. It fits the time period very, very well as well. And of course, MSG, what's very classic about that as well is that small entrance. We're used to seeing these sort of big entranceways, aren't we? And MSG back then as well, the old MSG, it was always very tight and very quick to get to the ring, wasn't it? When you look at classic WrestleManias and like this show as well.
I always loved it. I always thought it looked so cool and different because, like you said, we're used to seeing those big ramps, and then it's this wee kind of area to get in, and it just makes it feel really special, like something special's happening.
Absolutely. Bubba on the mic by the way as well. He just absolutely he's so underrated in my opinion because I feel he was always awesome. You go back to his times here on the mic here, back to his ECW days. They would almost cause riots, these two, back in ECW. So I mean, like, I always loved watching them, what they did on the mic.
I think it's all these guys like Edge and Christian is obviously mentioned in with these guys. Hardys and Dudley Boyz just changed wrestling completely, like the tag team style, because it was always just big guys standing. Somebody comes in, then there's a hot tag, and that was like hit. Because tag team wrestling in WWE wasn't seen as a good thing for a long time. And I think in wrestling as well, I don't really remember a lot of tag matches in ECW or even WCW that really made sense in this period. But these three teams just were cool to watch, and then the Hardy Boys entrance is always fun and enjoyable.
Yeah, absolutely. And straight off it as well, brawling in the aisle straight away. But like you say, with tag team wrestling back then, I mean, I think WCW around this time as well. I mean, there was a period where they kind of ditched tag team wrestling altogether, so it left a real gap in the market as well. Like, in the fact that tag team wrestling was redefined with these tag teams, it was a special period all round. And you see the way it started off here. It's just complete mayhem from the beginning, and I love that. Was that the Bubba Bomb? It's that Bubba Ray did that.
I think it was.
It's just an impressive looking move that sort of full Nelson style into sort of dropping him onto, it looks like it hurts. But the table's already in here already.
Something that I think WWE's missed, I know the production quality is always insane, but they've missed, like, the wrestling isn't meant to look clean. So, like, here, I don't know how to explain it, but here you've got, like, the ring rope, the aprons, the cool little entranceway that looks like dingy and stuff like that grungy kind of feeling to it, but then now everything's just clean and LCD and like 3D stuff, and I'm like, I want old school ring aprons and stuff like that, because the reason they killed the aprons were there is you never knew if somebody was going to go under and grab a chair or something like that, and then now you're like, well, they're probably not going to do it because they're not going to pick up a TV.
Well, they have these LED screens as well covering the ring aprons, don't they, sometimes? So, I mean, do you think then in the case it's kind of, I don't say it's no sense of realness, because like you say, the production value is second to none really when you look at it, but it goes a level too far, like, like it doesn't need to be as clean cut as it is. Like you said here, where it's kind of got that grungy feel, it just almost feels like that anything can happen. It's a bit dirty, it's a bit edgy. Maybe that's the thing, it makes it feel very squeaky clean in today's product compared to what we got here, which is a very special time in wrestling anyway, with the Attitude Era.
Definitely, and if you're watching this and listening to us at the same time, just listen to us and watch this, because there's some moves that Jeff Hardy does in this and gets hit with tables, which is just like, how is he still working to this day because of that?
I mean, he still does that trick now when he runs along the sort of the barricade, but it goes straight head first into a table from Bubba. That was a cool looking spot back there. And like I said, we've got Bubba and Matt Hardy in the ring right now. Matt's just gone onto a table here in the inside of the ring. But that's the thing, they're not mucking around. They've got the furniture out straight away. This is what it's all about. It's a tables match. We don't need to muck around for 15, 20 minutes to get to the table spots. Let's get it in now, and let's see how many near falls we can get with it, And now, I mean, Bubba looks quite vulnerable here, doesn't he? But no, Devon's moving the table, so the superplex is, I mean, that's just as painful anyway, isn't it? Poor Bubba.
I think there's so much, like, how wrestling has changed, but I don't know if it's for the better. I know wrestling is a lot more, in the ring's a lot better now, like technical wise, you could say it's a little bit better with these moves and stuff like that. But is it more enjoyable product? I'd probably say no, because I end up pissed off at most shows, especially if you look at like Raw, SmackDown, like what they're doing, like the whole Sami Zayn, Brock Lesnar thing recently has just fucking pissed me the hell off. Like, you could have had a match, put the guy over a wee bit, just give him a wee bit of rub, feed him to somebody else after it. But no, just want to ruin everything.
I feel Sammy's out the door though, isn't he? I mean, I don't know if he's signed a new contract or not, but if he hasn't, then his time is coming. And I mean, you know, I did find that personally quite entertaining. But I mean, obviously, like you say, we could have had like a really good match with Sammy and Roman Reigns, because like Sammy, with that sort of mastermind in the way that he is a heel kind of thing, it's like, it's an interesting way how that match would play out, because I know it's heel versus heel, but Roman, but when being at the Survivor Series in Barclays, I can say the most over thing was the Bloodline. Everyone went mental for the Usos, more than I expected. Obviously Roman was expected, but I mean, like, there's just a different air in the room when he comes to the ring. I just would like to see how that dynamic would have played out in a proper match, but I mean, it does kind of fit the narrative of the Sami Zayn character, that he gets to this spot by fluke, and then, like you say, it's just pretty much taken away from him here. But goodness, wow. Should that not have been the end of the match?
I think it's the two people have to get put through it. It's when you were doing that elimination style. It's, WWE changed the rules too much, didn't they? Like, now, like, some stuff, it's like just one person, and then. But I get what you mean, one with I think the heel versus heel thing could have been a lot cooler than, like, Sami Zayn doing like being a heel, Roman being heels, and then Brock Lesnar coming out just to beat the shit out of Sami and Roman would have made them look even better. But like, Brock Lesnar doesn't need to be a heel or a face; he's just a scary looking guy.
Absolutely. That's the thing, though. Brock is just, I mean, there was an aura around him, wasn't there, completely? But, you know, it's such something very, very special. But, yeah, I mean, Bubba's all over the place now. Obviously, he went through the table there, didn't he? We had a leg drop and a splash at the same time from the Hardys there on the outside, and now another. We've got the stairs now with a table being set up as well, which is quite interesting. But just to go back on the conversation point you had a minute ago there, Barry, like, I mean, you mentioned about production there. One I really enjoyed this past week from Raw was Liv Morgan's video package, which featured her family, her growing up. Did you find more of a connection to the character and a bit more support for Liv Morgan just seeing stuff like this? I don't think we get enough of that these days.
I think it's got its place. I'm not a big Liv Morgan fan. Just, I know the IWC have probably going to kill me for that, because she seems to be the most over person on Twitter. I don't think she should be in the title picture. That's when they need that second women's title to be there, to give her runs with that, like a women's intercontinental title. She deserves that, but maybe no the face of the company. But it does make you care about them. You understand who they are, or even just like a wee package to, like, I don't know, like, you know, Stone Cold Steve Austin liked beer. So he hated Vince McMahon, so you can relate whenever he's in, like, oh, I don't like my boss either, or my boss was a dick today. I can relate with Austin. I'm going to go have a beer. But then, like we said, Liv Morgan shows her family, builds up that relationship with her, and you can start to buy into her. But I don't think they do that as much today, because it doesn't sell tickets or something. I don't know. I honestly don't know what WWE do, but they make a ton of cash, so I must know what that looks sore.
Yeah. Well, Matt Hardy's just gone through a table as well there. It was, one of those sort of power bombs there from the second rope from Bubba. It's before the times as well where we didn't get the WhatsApps and the Devon get the tables. They just get tables at this point. It's probably a bit too early days for that, but no, I mean, this is just carnage, this match. And this is only the second match on the show as well. One match I came close to picking beforehand was Taz versus Kurt Angle, because I was a big fan of Taz's debut, but I realised the match only goes 3 minutes. So, that was no good. And that was the reason I couldn't pick Daniel Bryan versus Sheamus from WrestleMania 28, the 18 seconds. I thought that would have to get a lot of quality in that video, wouldn't we? That would have been definitely a good watch.
That would have been on TikTok, definitely. Would have just been a wee... Like, that was a match, see you later, guys. No, but Taz Angle's good. I think Taz Triple H for a SmackDown as well was really good. Which is a shame that Taz didn't, obviously. It's just he didn't look right, didn't he? Not like in ECW, he just felt good, and then he went to WWE, and it was like, oh, like these guys are like insanely tall compared to Taz.
The thing is, I think he said as well in the documentary once, he was like, coming into this event, he was like, I need people to not cheer me. I need people to not know who I am. And as soon as he came out, the place erupted. And he said, I'm doomed from here, because they know that I'm over from somewhere else and not from here. So I can't make my name in WWE. So it was an interesting interview. But more tables being set up here. And we're getting near now the end where this is looking proper dangerous. It's in the entranceway. And is that a second table now being put up from Bubba now? It's... yeah, we're getting near the big spots now at the end. And yeah, a double stack of the tables as well. God, this looks dangerous, man.
It feels dangerous and it looks good as well. Like, you don't need any like the gimmicks of like fire and thumbtacks. It's just like tables telling the story with a table. But then I don't know. Just now as well, I just feel like they either try something or they go too far, and that's AEW as well. It's not just WWE. It's like they look on Twitter, see somebody like something, and they just like rip the piss out of how much they're doing it.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just because I'm injured, so I'm just
can't do these stunts yourself at the minute. But no, I mean, I'm quite behind on Dynamite at the minute. I've not had the chance to catch up with that, but I look forward to seeing what they bring to the table. Obviously, I have seen a couple of peaky things on Twitter, like obviously with CM Punk and MJF started off. So look forward to seeing where that goes. Hopefully, I'll have a better idea of that over the next day or two. But yeah, I mean, goodness, now we're right up now in the rafters. Now we've gone through the crowd. We're on the top of the entrance here. We've got that's Jeff Hardy there with Bubba as well. Matt Hardy's laying on 2 stacks of tables here. One thing that was quite interesting as well is that someone helped the Dudleys do the tables. Ouch! Low blows kicked in. Bubba sells that so well. Oof. Chair shot. What a great camera angle. Wow. Bubba's gone through loads of tables for anyone that's watching.
I always loved the rules for like table matches, because it's like technically he's not went through it himself and stuff like that. You're like,
yeah,
like he fell through it himself, but it's not nobody put him through it, and you're like, that doesn't make sense. But this is one of my favourite swantons to see. That, and when he's in the TLC and he goes off to that big, huge ladder, which is scary.
That's absolutely insane. And yeah, like you say, from the balcony there, Jeff Hardy doing it. Like you say, it's a special, iconic moment. It feels that moment there is definitely like one of the moments that sort of helped get towards this TLC moment, you know. But yeah, they've won. They've said now on the things here, but no, absolutely incredible match there between these guys. They just let hell for leather, wasn't it? They put their bodies on the line and just total destruction.
And Matt Hardy just towards the end there just threw Jeff over the over the banister. So no, but it's like if you compare this to like today's wrestling, there's such a gap. Like they're just telling a story. These guys might not be as good as like a Bryan Danielson or CM Punk or MGF, Darby Allin, or these kind of that's one thing I was going to say. I like Darby Allin because he brings back this style. Might not be the best in ring, but he brings back what's this guy going to do to win? Like he's just going to like, hit people and jump off stuff and do weird stuff, which is fun to see as well. And I just miss this period in wrestling when it's fun, and I can go back and watch this stuff every day pretty much. Like even back into the late 90s, avoiding some Raw shows and stuff like that because they were pretty bad, but it's just an insane period, and we grew up during it, so we got the best point of it.
we were so fortunate, and the thing is, I think at the time, like you don't. I don't want to say you take it for granted, because obviously, I mean, I grew up as well in a period watching to begin with where I went through 95. So, I mean, like that was a really dark day. I mean, people say today's bad, but that's probably the worst still of this period, you know. 94, 95 was an awful time. But, like, I mean, you go through here and it got, like you said, it got to a point it just becomes so mainstream and you just become so common just to see how wrestling is, and you think, that's how it works, kind of thing, that will stay like this. But obviously, you look today, financially, the company's better than ever, but I mean, obviously, the talent pool that you've got there, and perhaps what you take like those 4 guys, the Dudleys versus the Hardys, is the second match on the card. You'd probably take that for granted there, but not to realise that all those guys would go on to have long, lengthy careers over a span of many decades as well. And like we say, Jeff and Matt are still going today. Bubba probably could go. I don't know if he does do indie work. Obviously, Devon, I think, now has gone through, you know, he's been more of an agent, hasn't he, of recent, and obviously he's gone through a few injuries and stuff. But I mean, that just tells you everything. They're just everything gone on the line there. So yeah, very, very special, and great fun to go back and rewatch that match. Man, it was a lot of fun.
Definitely, man. I just like you said, we kind of grew up at that point when wrestling was mainstream, and we remember what it was like then. So when people that are younger than us are like, they're making more than enough money and stuff like that, and it's like, Aye, but you forget how good, like, if they could take how good women's wrestling is now and add it into this point and how good wrestling was, it would literally be on every TV channel. But it is what it is, isn't it? We need to go through the dark periods to get the good periods. I'm hoping we get something good, because Raw was actually good this week. If anybody's not seen my Raw review, go check it out, because I'm happy about Raw, which anybody knows my Raw reviews, I'm no. This stuff was good, and as always, remember, my reviews are reviews because people moan when I give my opinion, which I don't understand, but
it's got to be done. You've got to give your reviews. If you like something, you like it. If you don't, you'd be wrong if you came on here and said you liked it and you didn't like it. There's got to be a reason for it. Do you know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? Like, no, the thing that's good about what you do, Barry, is that your channel, it's real, it's pure. If there's a feeling of something that's there and you want to call it out, you don't sort of cut by and go, no, it was good for whatever reason. You call it and say it like it is, and that's a good thing in our community. We don't get enough of it.
And leaving the final question, this is a What's Talk About It episode coming up, so I need to ask you this, because you grew up in that time like me. Who do you pick, Undertaker or Sting? So I've got a What's Talk About It, who's better? I'm currently, the episode, I'm trying to cut it down, it's at 30 minutes, so I'm trying to cut it, because I love Sting, and I'm not going to tell you who my pick is, but who would you pick, Sting or Undertaker? It's
so hard, because, like, if I try not to do this for half an hour as well, because it's that good of a question, that detailed. But I mean, like, growing up, one of my first action figures was Sting, and I watched WWE. But Sting was iconic. There was something special with the blonde hair, the face paint, and then obviously became the Crow version that went against the NWO. Undertaker, I watched consistently through and through, and both characters are iconic and stood the test of time. The only thing I would say is that being a WWE guy, I would slightly lean towards the Undertaker, but I would have loved to have seen what Sting could have done had he been given more time or had the opportunity to be in WWE longer. Like, we never got the match with Taker versus Sting. I still think that the build of that match, even a few years ago, like when both of them were probably not at their best, would have been awesome just to watch the build up, seeing Sting in the rafters, seeing Taker, the mystic, the lights going up, stuff like that, Sting perhaps coming down with like the zip line, you know what I mean? That sort of stuff to build that storyline would have been absolutely incredible, would have been the best things to see on a build to a WrestleMania of all time, but we never got it, sadly. But I think I'm going to lean slightly on The Undertaker for two reasons. One, he never became Eggman at Survivor Series 1990. We got The Undertaker. Number two, that gimmick is a gimmick that definitely should never have worked, and it did work for its longevity. Sting is a character that was a hero for the kids. Face paint was original in its time. He reinvented it at the right time as the Crow sort of character. Going through Wolfpack was really cool. But yeah, I think Sting's character could have worked in a different era, different time as a hero. Taker's was a different style of character. I think today would be absolutely god-awful. So for that, I'll give Taker just.
And then this is my video. I'm not going to tell you my answer. You need to check that video. It's a long one, but I will get it cut down to hopefully 20 minutes. I'm trying to cut stuff out. And the final question I'm asking everybody is, do you think wrestling will become mainstream again? Or do you think it's going to stay in that niche little product until we get bigger stars? Like we get more Romans and stuff like that as well. What do you think is going to happen?
I think that it is a case right now, like you say, a niche is probably where we're at. It feels that not a lot of things move the needle more. I mean, fun enough, was going for a bold predictions video I did for the start of this year and was considering whether to do a video of how many of those predictions I actually got right. And one of them I did was AEW to break into the 1 million permanently and go beyond. And I said that people like CM Punk would make the difference. Now, CM Punk made an initial difference, but when you look at episodes of Rampage is dropped heavily off from when CM Punk debuted. So it feels like it's in that niche until we get someone that's not just big in the wrestling market, in the mainstream market, and we're talking finding your next Rock, your next Austin. Like I said, we were spoiled back in the era we just looked at where, you know, Jeff Hardy and stuff was main eventing a few years later and stuff from that period. But you look then, we had, like you said, Austin, The Rock, Undertaker, Mankind, Kane, Triple H, you know, and all these people there. Shawn Michaels would come back as well not so long afterwards. And you think, we were very, very spoiled. And then you take what's WCW, ECW, thrown them in there as well. That talent pool was something that's hard to replicate. Nowadays, we've got people that are not built the same in a way of international stardom. John Cena was probably the last. Roman Reigns is the closest we've got. they don't want to kind of push people that same way. I feel WWE, they get this 3-week push. If you give people a chance to get over, like a Rusev Day or whatever, like back in the days, maybe there's a chance. But until we get those other people come through, like we did in the 90s, like a Rock, for example, which is very once in a generation sort of a talent and personality, we remain in the niche, in my opinion. But yeah, I'm probably going on too much, Barry, so I'll probably get into your stance on that.
No, man, I'm the exact same. I just think it's no must-watch TV. Like, there's nothing in wrestling just now that we have to sit down and watch. Like, you can be like, Roman Reigns is doing really cool work, but you watch a couple of shows, you kind of get the gist of it. It's always the same story. Everything's kind of copy and paste. For WWE, it's month to month. For AEW, it's every couple of weeks to couple of weeks, and they draw the stories out a little bit too long, and it just seems like, oh, this person's talking to this person next week. I don't need to see them talk. Come on, hit somebody with something. Come on, what are we doing? We're in a wrestling ring talking, but what's this all about? Hit somebody with a card, they're old Stone Cold. But I just think it's a weird time at the minute. It's going to be niche for at least the next 10 years, because when people say, oh, but YouTube gets this amount of views and whatever, but how many people are watching that same YouTube clip 2, 3, 4 times? Because I know I watch it, and if something cool's happening, I show my partner, that's 2 views there. And it's just, I don't know. It's going to be niche. Hopefully it doesn't go too niche and nobody watches it anymore. Yeah.
Well, the other key from everyone says with YouTube, the view stays whether someone watches it for the whole video or for 10 seconds. Like, someone clicks on it and goes, oh, no, not for me, I clicked on by accident, or, those stuff has got to be taken into account as well. And, I do think television as an art form is sort of fading away. I think streaming is the way forward, and that's something we have to give WWE credit for. The network was an ingenious idea when we look back at it. We thought it was a bit bonkers back when it first created. It was ahead of its time, and now it's been sold and put onto Peacock, and for people in the States, apologies, we still have the network, when you look at it, like, it's finding a way of evolving and changing the game. But I feel that WWE are themselves looking to be the brand that's number one first, not a superstar, and that's what I think the issue is. Like, Roman Reigns is the closest they've got to it, and Roman Reigns can go on to be that next level, go to Hollywood and stuff like that, and probably become bigger in that market. But if you class where Roman Reigns is in the style of where wrestlers were, right now I have him on the level as what Batista was. I don't have him higher as a John Cena or as a Rock or a Stone Cold or he's still got a way to go. But the thing is, with Roman Reigns, to get to that level, it's not what Roman needs to do. He needs people on his level, and that's what's missing in WWE. There are not people on Roman Reigns' level. Until he gets some credible challengers, Roman will remain on that same level, because right now it's Roman at the top. He's like a San Martino, if you want, in sort of like roster level. But on, like I said, a name level, Batista was a big deal, and Batista's going to do great things since WWE, but he's probably at that level, if you look back in history, at the second, in my opinion. But, hey, that's probably going to get some heat, because Roman Reigns has been a champion for a long, long time. But, hey, long may it continue. It's still the best thing going on in the company in this moment, in my opinion.
But I totally agree with you. I think it is on that. I loved Batista as a kid. Like, he was amazing. Maybe not the best in the ring, but he just had the look, and it was cool when he had the big gold belt, and it just felt like he was a champion. But like it says, Roman Reigns is kind of just there. And even if you compare Big E to Roman Reigns, there's miles apart. Like, Roman Reigns is so over, and Big E is, as much as he's a good wrestler and he's over, he's just missing that something, like, that'll just take him to that next level. And I know people are going to hate me for that. But man, thanks for joining me today. You're obviously SCWSteve. Go check out anybody watching this, go check out your channel. You always put out fantastic content, good talking points, and it's a lot more professional than what I do, because I just rant. But aye. Anyway, man, I'll let you go, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll tell you when this is going to get uploaded after this kind of wee bit.
Thank you. Thanks for having us on.